Okay, so you saw the trailer for Damaged, Ray. You're thinking Samuel Jackson, Vincent Cassel, a gritty crime thriller set in Scotland?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be good, right?
Right.
But before you commit to 2 hours on the couch, you might want to hear this.
Yeah, definitely.
We are diving deep into this MovieKaTicket.com review, and let me tell you, it is not pretty.
Not pretty.
No. So the basic setup is we've got this seasoned Chicago detective. You know, he's seen it all.
Uh-huh.
And he finds himself caught up in this string of brutal killings in Scotland.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there are eerie parallels to a case from his past.
Ooh, so there's like a psychological element.
Right, like a haunted by the past kind of thing.
Yeah.
That alone is a pretty solid foundation for a thriller.
Absolutely. It's got that classic recipe for suspense. You know, you've got the grizzled detective in a new environment, and then you throw in some unsolved trauma.
Yeah, and then you throw in the whole Chicago cop in Scotland thing.
Oh, yeah. That's like a whole other layer of intrigue, right?
Right. I mean, you could do so much with that.
Yeah, you've got the clash of cultures, the different policing styles, even just like the scenery. You know, Chicago versus the Scottish Highlands.
It's a visual contrast, too.
Exactly.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
The review drops the F-bomb.
Uh-oh.
Formulaic.
Ooh.
Yeah, apparently the whole thing relies way too heavily on predictable twists and turns.
I hate when that happens. Like, you can see the plot points coming a mile away.
Yeah, exactly. And the review even calls out a couple of specific tropes, like the obvious red herring.
Yeah.
You know, the character that's like way too suspicious to actually be the killer.
Right. The one they throw in to make you think you figured it out.
Exactly. And then there's like a last-minute revelation about a hidden connection between two characters.
So cliche.
I know, right? It's like they pulled those plot points straight out of a thriller starter kit.
And those elements, you know, the red herrings, the surprise connections, they can actually work if they're done well.
Sure.
They have to be woven into the story in a way that feels organic and believable.
Right, like you want to be surprised, not rolling your eyes.
Precisely.
Okay, so the premise might be decent, but the execution seems shaky.
Yeah.
So what about the characters themselves?
Yeah, what about those characters?
Do they save the day?
Well, unfortunately, that's where things really fall apart.
Oh, no.
The review says even the leads played by Jackson and Cassel feel underdeveloped.
What? How do you mess that up?
I know, right? You've got two incredibly talented actors, but you don't get a real sense of their motivations.
Their backstories.
What makes them tick, you know?
It's like you're watching these amazing actors go through the motions.
Yeah.
But there's no real emotional depth there.
Yeah, it's like they're just playing caricatures of detectives instead of actual people with, you know, flaws and complexities.
Which is crazy because the review does say that Jackson and Cassel's individual charisma shines through.
Right, but it's like even their star power couldn't make up for the weak character development.
Exactly. It's almost like the script itself didn't give them enough to work with.
Yeah, and when you have actors of that caliber, you expect fireworks, you know?
Yeah, like their on-screen partnership should be electric.
Right, and the review actually suggests that their chemistry just wasn't there.
Oh, no.
It makes you wonder if maybe the director didn't fully utilize their talents or create the necessary dynamics for a truly compelling partnership.
Yeah, like maybe a different director could have coaxed more out of those performances.
Right. I mean, think about it. A skilled director can really shape the interactions between actors.
Absolutely. And speaking of things that could have used some shaping, the review mentions the pacing.
The pacing.
Yeah, apparently it drags, particularly in the second act.
In a thriller.
I know, right?
I mean, that's like a cardinal sin right there.
Pretty much. And the review doesn't hold back. It says that the pacing is a major detriment to the suspense.
Well, think about it. In a thriller, pacing is everything, right?
Yeah.
It's about building tension and keeping the audience on the edge of their seats and constantly wondering what's going to happen next.
So basically you're saying I shouldn't expect any nail-biting moments in this one.
Well, I don't want to completely spoil it for you.
Right, of course. Of course.
But let's just say the pacing doesn't really help to create that sense of urgency that you want in a thriller.
Okay, so no real thrills.
Yeah.
All right. What about the supporting cast?
The supporting cast?
Do they manage to salvage anything?
The review sums them up as decent but forgettable.
Ouch.
Which is a shame because I think a good supporting cast can really make or break a thriller.
Yeah, they add so much.
They can provide those red herrings, you know?
Yeah.
Or they can flesh out the world, make it feel more real.
Yeah, and they could even offer insights into the main characters.
Exactly. And in Damaged, it seems like they just missed that opportunity.
It's almost like they had all the ingredients for a gripping thriller.
Yeah.
You know, the intriguing premise, the star-studded cast, the atmospheric setting.
Right.
But they just didn't quite know how to put it all together.
Yeah, like they had the recipe, but they messed up the measurements.
Exactly. And the review even points out that the director tried to use the Scottish landscapes to create a moody atmospheric feel.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, Scotland is visually stunning.
Absolutely. It's got that dramatic scenery that could really lend itself to a thriller.
But apparently even that wasn't enough to overcome the firm's reliance on those tired thriller tropes.
See, atmosphere is important.
Yeah.
You know, it can really enhance the mood and the tone of a film.
Right.
But it can't carry the entire weight of the story.
Right, like it's got to be more than just a pretty picture.
Exactly. And it sounds like Damaged might have leaned too heavily on those familiar elements without bringing anything truly fresh or innovative to the table.
Okay, so bottom line, should we watch Damaged or skip it?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for.
Fair enough.
If you're a diehard fan of Jackson or Cassel, you might enjoy seeing them on screen even if the material isn't their best.
Sure.
But if you want a truly original thriller that will keep you on the edge of your seat, you might be disappointed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The film seems to have some strong points, but ultimately it falls short in terms of execution.
So maybe not a must-see, but it does make you think.
Oh, yeah.
Could Damaged have been a better film with a different director at the helm? You know, someone who could have elevated the script and really brought out the best in those actors.
Right, like someone who could have taken those ingredients and made a truly delicious cinematic meal.
Or was the script just inherently flawed from the beginning?
Yeah.
You know, doomed to be a mediocre thriller no matter who was in charge?
That is a good question.
Yeah, something to ponder before you decide whether to give it a watch.
Absolutely.
Food for thought, right?
Definitely.
All right, well, that is Damaged. In a nutshell, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time for another cinematic breakdown.
See you then.